They often say that behind every powerful man, there is an equally remarkable woman. But what happens when that woman is not only elegant and influential, but also separated by generations in age? From whispered romances to storybook unions, these women are far more than companions of immense wealth. They have become symbols of ambition, mystery, and transformation, each leaving a distinct imprint on the world. Some choose to lead from the shadows, while others shine boldly under the spotlight. Yet they all share one undeniable truth. They have redefined the rules of influence. In this video, we will uncover the fascinating paths of these women who didn't simply step into extraordinary lives, but reshaped the world around them. They are not just billionaires' wives, but enduring icons of power, presence, and legacy. The real question is, what inner force has allowed them to rise beyond expectations and achieve something truly unforgettable? Amira's marriage to Saudi billionaire Prince Al-Walid bin Talal instantly captured international curiosity. A young woman filled with vision and determination entered a realm of prestige, influence, and overwhelming responsibility. Their story is often traced back to a single moment, a 2-hour conversation, when Amira interviewed the prince. What began as an exchange of ideas soon evolved into admiration, commitment, and eventually, a royal union that the world could not ignore. Born into an ordinary family in China, Wendi Deng's journey carried her from humble beginnings to the highest circles of global influence. But she was never the type to settle for being a background figure in someone else's story. Wendi played the game of power on her own terms and with remarkable skill. Raised by parents who worked as engineers, her early life was worlds away from the media empires and elite boardrooms she would later enter. Yet intelligence, ambition, and timing have a way of opening doors. She moved to California, pursued higher education, earned an MBA from Yale, and steadily rose within Rupert Murdoch's vast corporate world. Then came the moment that changed everything. She didn't just work inside the empire, she married the man who built it. Their 1,999 weddings stunned the public. He was 68, she was 30. But Wendi appeared completely unshaken. She was not only young and striking, but also ambitious, highly educated, and remarkably strategic in how she moved through elite spaces. Over their 14 years together, she became a recognizable presence in the world's most exclusive circles, forming connections with influential figures ranging from Silicon Valley leaders to political power players in Washington. She was even known to have social ties with prominent families, including those connected to Donald Trump. Yet, with proximity to influence often comes intense speculation. As her profile grew, so did the rumors, many exaggerated, sensational, and impossible to verify. Stories about hidden agendas and secret influence swirled endlessly in the media. In 2018, reports surfaced claiming that U.S. intelligence had raised concerns about her connections. However, no official evidence or confirmed charges were ever made public. Still, the atmosphere of conspiracy continued to follow her name, showing how easily powerful women can become the subject of endless narratives beyond the facts. When she and Murdoch divorced in 2013, it wasn't simply the end of a marriage, it felt like the closing of one chapter and the beginning of something entirely her own. For Wendi, it marked a shift from being seen through someone else's lens to stepping fully into her own independent narrative. Since then, she has built a life of influence in quieter but significant ways, becoming known as an art collector, a film producer, and a figure with undeniable presence behind the scenes. Focused, composed, and always moving forward, she has remained difficult to define or limit. Wendi Deng doesn't seem to chase power, she moves in a way that draws it toward her. Her story reflects what can happen when a woman shapes her career, connections, and identity on her own terms. She stands as a symbol of determination, intelligence, and the ability to navigate complex worlds with confidence and control. Every beauty queen may dream of a crown, but Sylvia Nduka seemed to be reaching for something far larger, a kingdom of her own. When she was crowned Miss Nigeria in 2011, Sylvia captivated the nation with her elegance, ambition, and undeniable presence. She wasn't just a symbol of beauty, but of possibility. Yet her narrative took a dramatic turn when whispers began linking her name to Africa's wealthiest man, Aliko Dangote. Suddenly, the spotlight shifted from pageantry to power, and her life became the subject of intense fascination. She was 25, he was 57. His fortune was estimated in the tens of billions, and his influence in Nigeria's business world was almost beyond reach. As speculation spread, tabloids painted the story like a modern legend unfolding among Lagos's elite. Rumors claimed that Sylvia may have revealed the romance publicly to push the relationship into something more official. Whether true or not, the chatter ignited instantly, sparking one of the most talked-about society mysteries of its time. Sylvia, once celebrated for her warmth and charm, suddenly found herself recast by the public into a far more dramatic role. Some painted her as fearless, others as calculating, but in the middle of all the speculation, she chose the most powerful response of all: silence. She never confirmed the whispers, and she never denied them. And somehow, that quiet refusal to explain only made the mystery grow. What intensified the intrigue even further were reports suggesting that Dangote was already married, turning the rumors into one of the most talked-about society controversies within Nigeria's elite circles. The story became larger than life, fueled by assumptions, headlines, and endless commentary. Yet even as the supposed chapter closed, Sylvia did not fade. Instead, she redirected her energy into reinvention. She launched her own hair business, became a voice supporting women in entrepreneurship, and built a personal brand through Sylvia's hair, proving that no matter how loudly the world tries to define a woman, she can still choose to define herself. Her message became impossible to ignore. Beauty may open the first door, but ambition is what builds the entire house. Whether the rumored romance was real or simply a story shaped by public imagination, one truth remains undeniable. Sylvia Nduka's rise was never about luck alone. It was forged through bold choices, sharp strategy, and a refusal to be reduced to a side note in someone else's narrative. In a world where power often controls the spotlight, Sylvia ensured she would never be merely a passing chapter. She became the name people remembered. She became the headline, because building a career and an identity takes more than appearance or fortunate timing. It takes vision, resilience, and the courage to write your own script. Sylvia's journey proves that when a woman decides to create something for herself, she can transform attention into opportunity and turn her own ambition into an empire. What happens when a world-class athlete trades the clarity of the pool for the mysteries of a palace? For Charlene Wittstock, it meant stepping into history as Princess Charlene of Monaco, the wife of Prince Albert II, son of the unforgettable Grace Kelly. But her story was never as effortless as the glossy headlines made it appear. Charlene, an Olympic swimmer from South Africa, was admired for her discipline, strength, and striking presence. When she first met Prince Albert at a swimming competition in 2000, few could have imagined that this encounter would one day lead her to royalty. 11 years later, the world watched as that extraordinary transformation became reality. Charlene walked down the aisle in a breathtaking custom Armani gown, entering a legacy once carried by Grace Kelly herself, an image of elegance that seemed straight out of a dream, yet hinted at a far more complex reality beneath the surface. Yet her wedding was not free from speculation. Whispers circulated that Charlene had felt the urge to escape Monaco just days before the ceremony, as though the weight of royal expectations was already pressing down before the new life even began. Whether fact or fiction, the media framed her not as a glowing bride, but as a princess caught between duty and uncertainty. Still, Charlene endured. She stepped forward with quiet resilience, navigating a world where every expression is analyzed and every silence becomes a headline. In 2014, she welcomed twins, Jacques and Gabriella, strengthening the royal line of Monaco and securing her place in its modern history. Over time, she became a style symbol, often compared to Grace Kelly for her refined presence and timeless elegance. Even today, her appearance remains striking, an aura of composure that seems untouched by time. But Charlene's journey is far deeper than couture and palace walls. Beneath the surface of glamour lies a story shaped by pressure, transformation, and the unseen complexities of life behind a crown. Behind the jewels and couture, Charlene has faced deeply personal struggles, health challenges, long periods away from her roots in South Africa, and the constant intensity of public attention. Yet through every difficult chapter, she has continued forward, quietly reshaping what it means to be a modern princess. Less fantasy, more endurance. Princess Charlene may live within palace walls, but it is her resilience, not royalty, that defines her most. Because not everyone can survive the weight of expectation or the relentless glare of the spotlight. And perhaps that is the real lesson in her story. Sometimes it is not the crown that makes someone extraordinary, but the hardships they overcome. Like Charlene, the challenges we face can become the very forces that strengthen us and help us claim our true identity. Some women marry billionaires, but Anna Sergeyevna stepped into a world even more unusual one, defined by spectacle, eccentricity, and high society legend. In Los Angeles, where fame and fortune blur beneath neon skies, billionaire James Goldstein has become a living symbol of extravagance. Known for his flamboyant fashion, his iconic courtside seats at NBA games, and his famous mid-century mansion that feels like a runway frozen in time, Goldstein exists in a category entirely his own. Rarely does he appear without a striking woman beside him. And in recent years, that woman has often been Anna Sergeyevna, a tall, blonde model who carries the elegance of classic Hollywood with the mysterious edge of modern glamour. Though now in his 80s, Goldstein remains captivated by the bold and unconventional. He openly embraces his larger-than-life lifestyle, moving from elite parties to major sporting events, always surrounded by spectacle and beauty. For Anna, stepping into this spotlight means more than luxury. It means front-row access to the world's most exclusive fashion weeks, walking alongside legendary designers, and watching basketball history unfold from seats reserved for icons. It's not just a relationship, it's an entrance into a surreal universe where glamour becomes a way of life. She has become the newest presence within the glamorous world he so carefully curates. But Anna is far more than a beautiful figure beside the spotlight. With her striking appearance and mysterious aura, she has built her own quiet fascination, drawing attention not just from cameras, but from endless whispers of curiosity. Who is she when the flashbulbs fade? What story exists beyond the red carpets and front-row seats? Is she simply the latest muse in James Goldstein's orbit? Or is she subtly reshaping the narrative of what it means to be seen as a billionaire's beauty? Because sometimes, the most captivating part of a story isn't what the world shows you, it's what remains just out of reach. Critics may dismiss her as only a passing chapter in Goldstein's extravagant world, but those who look beyond the surface may see something far more layered. Anna carries herself like someone who understands the spotlight, how to step into it without being swallowed by it. Whether she is simply a striking figure within Goldstein's orbit or quietly shaping a path entirely her own, one truth remains. She knows how to turn attention into advantage. In a society where image can shape destiny, Anna Sergeyevna represents something deeper than glamour alone. She stands as a reminder that a woman can navigate visibility with intelligence, transform curiosity into influence, and assert her identity without being trapped inside old stereotypes. Because what truly sets her apart isn't just appearance, it's resilience, awareness, and the ability to seize opportunity with purpose. Hollywood love stories often come with surprising turns, but few raised as many eyebrows as the connection between Malia Andelin and media titan Sumner Redstone. She was a flight attendant in her 20s, working aboard one of Viacom's private jets. He was an 85-year-old chairman at the helm of an empire that included CBS and Paramount Pictures. When their worlds intersected, the tabloids could barely keep pace. The age gap alone felt almost unreal. Malia was nearly 6 decades younger. To skeptics, it looked like a familiar headline. an ultra-powerful billionaire alongside a striking young woman. But Malia's presence quickly became more than a passing rumor. She was no silent figure in the background. She became a frequent companion, appearing beside Redstone at exclusive gatherings and high-profile events within Hollywood's most elite circles. And that's what made the story so fascinating, because it wasn't just about the shock of the pairing. It was about how quickly she moved from an unknown name to a visible presence inside one of the most powerful media worlds on Earth. Their relationship sparked endless questions. Was it romance, convenience, or something more calculated? No one could agree on the truth, but one thing was undeniable. Her sudden proximity to immense power drew global attention. Public records later noted that Malia received $75,000 connected to her involvement in helping secure a major charitable donation for the Global Poverty Eradication Project. To many observers, it highlighted how being close to influence can also intersect with philanthropy and high-level initiatives. Malia's story reflects the boldness of stepping into a glamorous world that most people only witness from a distance and learning how to move through it without losing yourself. Whether admired or questioned, she became a symbol of how visibility can quickly turn into opportunity. In a world filled with temptation and the complicated shadows of power, her journey serves as a reminder. The most important thing is to protect your identity, stay grounded, and refuse to be swept away by the expectations others try to place on you. Malia Andolin's ability to carve her own path is what truly makes her unforgettable. In a world where billionaire romances often burn brightly and disappear just as fast, Eloise Brody represents something rare: glamour with staying power. Born and raised in Houston, Texas, Eloise was never destined for an ordinary, quiet life. From the beginning, she carried a presence that demanded attention, defined by striking beauty and undeniable charisma. Her rise into the spotlight was swift. She appeared on the cover of Playboy and, in 1988, was crowned Playboy's Playmate of the Year. For many, that moment would have been the peak of fame. But for Eloise, it was only the opening chapter of a much larger story, one that would lead her far beyond magazine covers and into the orbit of extraordinary influence. 2 years later, destiny brought her into the life of John Paul DeJoria, the self-made billionaire behind the legendary Paul Mitchell hair care and Patron tequila brands. His story was one of rare resilience, someone who once faced homelessness before rising to build global empires through determination and vision. John Paul was as unconventional and compelling as Eloise herself. Together, they became an unexpected yet striking match. A hardened entrepreneur shaped by struggle, and a graceful woman shaped by spotlight. They married in 1993, and unlike many high-profile billionaire unions that become tabloid fuel, theirs was not defined by scandal or dramatic endings. It was defined by longevity. Through decades of business growth, charitable work, and constant public curiosity, Eloise remained steady, more a true partner than a symbol, more a confidant than a mere presence. Their relationship became a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary stories are not the loudest ones, but the ones that last. Even today, at 68, Eloise still carries the confident glow that once graced magazine covers, only now it is deepened by experience and wisdom. She continues to stand beside her husband in supporting charitable causes, advocating for women's issues, and embodying a kind of elegance that embraces time rather than fears it. Her journey is not simply about being married to a billionaire. It is about redefining what that role can mean. Not a temporary figure in someone else's spotlight, but a lasting presence with her own voice and purpose. Eloise Brody may have first entered the public eye through glamour, but she has grown into something far greater, a strong, independent, and quietly influential woman. Because sometimes, greatness doesn't come from being handed a place in the world, it comes from reshaping your role, no matter the circumstances. Eloise's story proves that with perseverance, self-belief, and wisdom, a legacy can be built not only through fame, but through endurance. When the name Hefner is mentioned, most people instantly think of Hugh Hefner, the Playboy founder known for silk robes, extravagant parties, and the legendary Playboy mansion. But Christy Hefner, his daughter, reshaped that legacy in a completely different way through intelligence, strategy, and unwavering ambition. Christy was never a woman content to live in the shadow of a famous surname. Born in Chicago and educated at Brandeis University, she entered the world with sharp curiosity and a natural instinct for leadership. In 1988, she stepped into a groundbreaking role as CEO of Playboy Enterprises, becoming one of the first women to lead a major global brand built around a traditionally male-centered image. The irony was impossible to ignore, but Christy didn't shy away from it. Instead, she embraced the challenge, guiding the company with calm confidence, modern vision, and unshakable authority. For more than 2 decades, she reshaped Playboy from a symbol of glossy magazines and extravagant nightlife into a modern global company with digital reach and mainstream influence. While many critics assumed she would be overwhelmed by the weight of the brand's reputation, Christy proved not only her competence, but also her remarkable vision. Under her leadership, the iconic bunny logo became more than a marketing image. It evolved into a cultural symbol, blending sharp business strategy with creative identity. Christy understood how to turn a recognizable emblem into lasting global influence. But her legacy stretches far beyond corporate success. Christy became a passionate voice for free expression, women's health, and social responsibility. She used her position to support causes that mattered deeply sometimes in ways that seemed almost contradictory to the brand she managed. And that paradox is exactly what made her so fascinating. A woman capable of leading one of the most male-centered empires in media while simultaneously standing firm as an advocate for women's rights and broader social change. Christy stepped down as CEO in 2009, but her impact is still impossible to ignore. True legacy is about taking control of the narrative, holding the pen, rewriting the script, and having the courage to define yourself. While Hugh Hefner built a larger-than-life empire filled with fantasy and spectacle, Christy Hefner created something far more transformative, a modern vision shaped by leadership, intelligence, and purpose. Because legacy is not simply something you inherit, it is something you build. Christy proved that women can be powerful, strategic, and innovative even in spaces where tradition tries to limit them. She is not just an heiress to a famous name, she is the architect of a new legacy, one rooted in strength, meaning, and lasting influence. Thank you for staying with us through this journey of extraordinary women. Women who refuse to live in anyone else's shadow, who rewrite their own narratives, claim their identities, and build legacies on their own terms. Each story we explored is a reminder of resilience, intelligence, and the quiet power to transform the world from within. If this video inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and help us continue bringing you more unforgettable stories. Leave a 1 in the comments if you believe women always have the power to shape their own futures, or a 0 if you see it differently. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.